Merry Christmas, everybody. By the time this gets uploaded, it will probably be after Christmas, but I am recording this on Christmas night. I'm on my way, just left my wife and kids with the in-laws. We had a really, really good day, and I'm on my way to go try to do a little hunting for a couple of days. My last chance to do some good in Missouri. I've been thinking all day, I've had a pretty rough go hunting. I think I've talked about that a little bit. I've just kind of had a rough go in life, really this whole year. And like I said, I think I've talked about it before, but it's just the little things. Nothing big, nothing major. We haven't had any huge life tragedies. My grandmother passed away, but that wasn't necessarily unexpected. We just haven't had huge, debilitating, crushing life blows, but it just seems like nothing that I try to do goes the way I plan it. And I read something interesting today, and it made me stop and think about what hope really is. So we talk about the hope of Christmas. The hope of Christmas is Jesus. Jesus came to this earth. God allowed his son to come to this earth to die a sinner's death so that we could be saved and we could be with him forever in paradise. And that is the hope of Christmas. Okay, so what is the hope that we cling to? Well, we cling to the promises, the hope of the promises of God, that God is not going to welch on his promises that we have. It really is about the hope of the promise. And one of the things that I read today talked about the time period between the last prophet, which if I recall is Malachi, and when Jesus showed up. That time period was 400 years. So in 400 years, God was silent. And there was a remnant of the Israelites that were dutifully praying and hoping for the Messiah to come. And as that article that I read today stated, and it, something you really don't even think about or maybe want to think about, 99.9% of those people who dutifully waited on God's promise died before it showed up. But they still never gave up hope. And God's hope may not come in our timing, and that is hard for us to accept because all we see is what's right in front of us. When you're having screw up after screw up, or you're having big catastrophic life blows that keep hitting you down, that's all you see that's right there in front of you. And it's hard to grasp the concept of life after death. One, we don't want to think about it. And two, we've never experienced it. None of us have ever experienced life after death, and therefore we don't know really what it's all about. And the Bible is cryptic with the apocalyptic writings and the poetry and the metaphors and is this talking about Rome? Is this talking about the end of the world? There's all kinds of what ifs that come out of the last book of the Bible, and the only thing that we really know for sure is that God wins. And of course, if he didn't, he probably wouldn't be much of a God to be looking after. But there's no real tangible hold that we can take hold of, and say that, oh, well, this is where my hope is because I've seen it before, or I've done it, or whatever. And so one of the things that I read today, I think it was in a devotional, or maybe I read it last night. Talks about a man who lost his 8-year-old daughter. Obviously, their hope was in Jesus and them being healed, and then it didn't happen, and tumors took her. And it's one of those things that they still have the hope. They still have hope of the promise that they're going to get to see their daughter again, either when Jesus comes or when they die. And one of the things that he said was, hope is not, man, I hope this happens, but I don't think it probably will. That's not real hope. That's wishy-washy hope. And I struggle with that. I struggle with that sometimes. Hey, I've got this hope. I know that God's got it, but life is punching me in the face right now, and I don't know. I know God's got it, but I don't know if that makes any sense. And so I encourage you to grasp onto real Bible promise hope that God's got this. But we have to understand that God's got this in His time and in His perfect plan and in His perfect will, and that may not be the same that we have. And so we need to make sure that we are putting our hope effectively in the right things and not in the things of this life. And that's hard when you're getting beat down a lot. We got a lot of stress in our life. We got a lot of medical issues, and the threat of the shadow of death hangs over our house all the time. And I've got a high impact, stressful job, and then on top of it, you just continually can't seem to do the little things right, and it adds up. It adds up in your frustration, and it chips away at your real hope. And so I say this today, or I bring this to you today on Christmas night, to let you know that there is real hope in Jesus. There is real hope that Jesus was a man who came, born of a virgin 2,000 years ago, and lived a perfect, sinless life, and yet died a sinner's death for you and for me, and then rose again 3 days later from the grave. And I tell you that confidently because if you read the Bible and you look at the historical events that happened around that same time, there's no way that it cannot be true. Some people have counted as many as 700 prophecies in the Old Testament that all get fulfilled when Jesus shows up on earth and dies and rises again. That can't be coincidence. And then none of the disciples recant under torture and death. None of them, not one. If I'm believing a lie, if I'm promoting a lie, the last thing I'm going to do is stand up under torture and under death, going down for a lie. So it all just makes sense. So that is the hope. That's the hope of Christmas. And here in a few months, that'll be the hope of Easter. We have hope in Jesus. We just got to remember that sometimes that hope is all it is hope. You got faith, and you got hope, and you got love, and we just have to hold on to those promises, because those promises us through to the end, to our reward, which is Jesus. So I hope this is encouraging to somebody. I thank you for watching, and I hope you guys have a Merry Christmas. Thank you.